Dennis and Betty Chafin Rash have influenced the city of Charlotte and UNC Charlotte in significant ways since the mid-1960s. They met when Dennis was serving as Dean of Students and Betty was Associate Dean of Students at UNC Charlotte in the 1970s. Betty, who was an avid supporter of Liz Hare's campaign for Mecklenburg County Commission in 1972, ran for Charlotte City Council in 1975.
She had the support of a lot of people in town. Then I finally met her, and she was the epitome of a bubble of energy. Someone who exudes this confidence and upbeat, optimistic personality, and I think she was going to solve all the problems of the city at the same time.
Betty and Dennis married in 1980, with UNC Charlotte's first chancellor, Dean Colvard, and Hugh McCall serving as the witnesses. By then, Dennis had been tapped by NCNB, now Bank of America, to form the first Community Development Corporation, authorized by the Comptroller of the Currency.
He came to work with us, and his first thing he did was help develop Fourth Ward. And he really was in charge of it and developed the entire thing. So I would ask him a question, and I'd get a very long answer to any question I asked him. And the reason was he wanted to be sure I understood why he was doing what he was doing. But he was quite good at what he did. If you look at Betty and Dennis, they sort of put their money where their mouth was in the center city. They came and lived in Fourth Ward and entertained in Fourth Ward. We had a lot of great drinks over at his house.
So Betty was on city council, so she was a strong proponent. And Dennis was the mastermind behind the whole concept. And so they redeveloped, the bank redeveloped Fourth Ward, successful development. And again, Betty and Dennis were at the forefront of that, moving down there when things were still a little tough. Then Dennis redeveloped Third Ward with the bank, and later was involved in the redevelopment of First Ward.
And so they were a vital part of building this city, the university was. And their point man, at the end of the day, was Dennis Rash, who didn't work for him anymore, but always was, let's say, had one foot back in that camp.
All of those things led to the ability to have the Center City campus for UNCC.
Dennis, again, from a business development standpoint, was very much involved in the Center City building that we see here in downtown Charlotte, and had a lot to do with all of the nature of selecting the site and being a part of helping us to create the presence that we wanted to create.
After Dennis retired from Bank of America, he returned to UNC Charlotte as executive in residence.
He loves UNC Charlotte. As a matter of fact, he came out of UNC Charlotte, went to the bank, then went back. That's what I call real love. Second time around.
Betty had been devoting time to a wealth of organizations, including serving on the UNC Charlotte Board of Visitors.
When I think about Betty, because she's been a mentor to me in my political life and in my civic engagement life forever. Well, not only did she start the Women's Political Caucus and several other things, she was the first director of something called Voices and Choices. And that was a real reach at that time because it was about sustainable development in this region. And it took everything she ever touched, she had a finesse to it.
While Betty and Dennis have been very high profile in Charlotte, they have kept some things private.
Betty and Dennis lived in a townhouse on 10th Street. I lived in a house on Pine Street. And Betty and Dennis wanted to buy our house. So after we sold them the house, we had a sailboat on Lake Norman. They had bought a lake house and didn't have a boat. So then we sold them half of the boat. So I'm trying to think, maybe I have a car. I must have something I can sell.
Somewhere along the way, he contracted some disease which we were worried was going to prove fatal. And I spent a lot of time writing an ode to Dennis, thinking I would read it at his funeral. And so I finally told him that he had really disappointed me by living, and that I'd spent all this effort writing this ode to him, but now he was still alive and kicking and had failed to die on time. So he's very much alive and kicking and still stirring up action around the city. And I've lost the ode.
In their free time, Betty and Dennis enjoy tandem cycling and time with Mebane and Jim and their 2 grandchildren. And they continue to make a positive impact on Charlotte and UNC Charlotte.
Was that Betty and I were the only 2 council members who supported, way back then, a change from at-large council elections to a combination of at-large and district elections. But the community rose up, literally, in an initiative petition, and we were out there helping to lead that effort to pass that petition, which passed by a narrow margin. But we have Betty Chafin Rash to thank for her leadership on that.
When you think about what's happened to Center City and what an important part residential development and office buildings, Gateway Center and those things have made to creating a live-work environment, you can see the footprints of Betty and Dennis.
Dennis made a huge difference and still does in our city. He and Betty still are people you talk to about, okay, what should we be doing?